want to thank everybody for being here, and the panel, of course, and the folks who helped organize this event. I'm Bruce Cowan. I know many of you know me. I've been here teaching in Port Townsend since 1978. I was so young, so hopeful. The Duran decision had just come down, and the state had to fully fund basic education. So this is sort of a deja vu for me. It seems like yesterday, and it was a long time ago. Schools have changed. We've come a long way from the mimeograph, but mostly the things are the same as ever. Walking through a school, you'll see the kids look different. They're wearing hoodies and carrying smartphones, but they still pass notes in class and they still forget their homework. And they still work hard and they still try to do what's right. Families look different too, and they still love their children. And they want them to do well in school so they can get ahead in life. Our community has changed as well, and I'm grateful that people on the Olympic Peninsula still support the schools, and we still pass our school levies by large majorities. Thank you. Teachers are the same too. Well, actually, they're younger than me now. So they were born in the 1960s and 70s, and yes, they were born in the 1980s. Like the teachers before us, this generation of teachers cares about every student. We give it our best shot every day. We go home pretty well worn out, and we take work home with us. And we're the same in some other ways too. Working in schools the way we do, well, we get these ideas about how schools could become better places for learning. And those ideas have not changed throughout my career. Class size, time to work together on the things that matter to us, learning tools, from computers to paper clips. We got some computers for you. And better compensation. We're wondering, teachers are wondering, many people are, where will the new educators come from if we can't give them this support? It makes us really sad to see so many promising young teachers leave our profession after a few years. And we talk to young people who would make good teachers, but they choose other professions that offer more rewards and fewer obstacles to success. Who can blame them? Their starting salaries are often higher than our top pay. And when we teachers take our little list down to Olympia, we find that things haven't changed there much either over the decades. We always hear the same two things: accountability and revenue. Well, if we've changed anything since the 1990s, it's accountability. Our state has invested a lot of money in time in standards and assessments. Our test scores and our accountability index rating and all kinds of other data are posted for everyone to see. These accountability people, they say that we have all the funding we need, that our test scores, the true measure of our work, should just continue to rise. They seem to think they can make that happen by legislating even more policies. This year we're studying an entirely new set of standards and a new teacher evaluation system, and there are sure to be new tests to replace the MPS that replaced the WASL just a few years ago. It's pretty hard to keep up with the acronyms, they're coming so fast. And don't get me wrong, standards, high expectations are very important. There's always room for improvement in schools. But teachers have this idea that kids would learn more if we made some investment inside classrooms, where the teachers and the kids are. But even as the expectations and accountability increase, these resources have been declining, and it started a long time before 2008. Over the years, we've talked to a lot of legislators who would like to make that investment. We like being understood. That feels good, but that's when we hear about the revenues. So we keep hearing we need to understand that in a state with 1 million students where education is such a big piece of the budget, even small changes cost a lot. And yes, even though enrollments are rising, revenues have not kept up with the costs in all the other areas. And some folks will tell us that, times are tough. School employees need to share the pain. We heard that a lot over the last few years. And yes, times have been especially tough, and nobody has felt that as much as the families of our young students. Many are struggling to hold on to what they have. And I think it's fair to say that schools and educators have shared in the downturn. Thousands of school employee positions have been cut. People have lost their jobs. Our pay and our benefits have been cut. Pension plans have been hit. There are bills to take away much more. And there's something worse, though, than this pain that we feel in our wallets and in seeing people lose their jobs, is the pain in our hearts from caring so much about our students. I'm so glad to see some of our young students here tonight. These amazing young people. There are several teachers here too, and we worked with these children today in the schools. We're going to see them in school tomorrow morning. They're only going to be young this once. And we know they are getting much less than they have coming to them. Less than we could give them with more support. So walking through a school, you can't see the hundreds of things that used to be there for them. You can't see the missing programs like swimming or drama or sports or gifted education. You can't see the missing counselors and librarians and office staff, the committees that used to plan assemblies and develop curriculum. You can't see how the remaining programs have been reduced, how the classroom that was swept out every day is now swept out every week. A lot of things you do see there are only there because of people, like many of the people in this room, who dip into their pockets and give time to keep them going. And to, as Jennifer mentioned, the families, these poor families who dip into their pockets to pay higher and higher fees. But our community has Team Port Townsend and the Education Foundation and the PTA and the Music Boosters and many others raising tens and tens of thousands of dollars to support sports and drama and iPads and experiences at the Maritime Center and Centrum. But we're never going to make up for what we've lost with auctions and magazine drives. When you walk through a school, you're not going to see our staff grumbling about what we lost. As Amity mentioned, you'll see professional, dedicated people trying to put the best face on things. And not just teachers. I'm talking about counselors and education assistants, bus drivers, office staff, cooks, custodians, maintenance people, and administrators. All great people. Staying positive and making the most of what we have, doing our best to make up for what's missing. But we need more than new policies from Olympia, and we need more funding, and it's going to take real money. And it can't be done with cuts, it will take revenue. There are a lot of ideas about where it should come from, but I'm more concerned about where it should not come from. Social programs have already been cut to the bone. Our families need this help. Every day we see children affected by homelessness, hunger, domestic violence, child abuse, mental illness, addiction. Their parents lack health care. Students cannot learn in school while their families are falling through the social safety net. And we can't add another regressive tax. The highest quintile of earners in our state pay less than 3% in taxes. The lowest quintile, which includes these young families who are paying extra fees, already are paying 17% of their income. Ours is the most regressive state tax system in the country. That is just wrong. And I know we can't keep raising college tuitions for Washington's children. Our students can't get where they're going if the cost of college or a vocational program climbs out of the reach of working families. The gap between the haves and have-nots in this country is growing, and only a strong public education system, including higher education, can level the field of opportunity. I happen to believe that education does more than prepare our young people for college and career. I think it prepares them for life and for participation in democracy. The Supreme Court rulings and the political climate may seem like the proverbial rock in a hard place, but they are really nothing next to the dismal situation we'll be in if we continue to deny our children the kind of education promised to them in our state constitution. So let's invest in schools now, and not just because the people who wrote our Constitution thought it was a good idea, and not just because the Supreme Court is reminding us that it's our paramount duty. Let's do it because it's the right thing to do. Let's do it now because our children and our future are worth it.